the 50-degree field of view, Chris, it actually reduces system weight by 40 grams, gives you 10-degree wider field of view.
How does it reduce the weight if you're making, because usually when you're adding something, doesn't it?
PFM.
Holy shit. Wow.
It's FM technology, right?
It's FM technology. Fucking magic.
Yeah.
Right? So
Battle Line Podcast episode. I'm actually thinking, what episode we're on? We're on episode 211. Happy Halloween. It is Halloween as people are hearing this. So pretty cool night vision stuff on Halloween. Phil Otto in studio, as you can see if you're on our YouTube. Sean Kirk in studio. We discuss night vision, anything that you want to know, anything about the future of night vision. This is the episode. You've heard us talk about Photonis plenty of times, but just to kick it off, now you can have the superpower to see in the dark with the Viper Binocular Night Vision System by Photonis Defense, which is the global leader in night vision solutions, providing more high-quality night vision capabilities than anyone, as Phil is demonstrating. Military, law enforcement, public safety end users utilize Photonis Defense solutions to give them the edge at night in tactical situations and rescue operations. Hunters, shooters, boaters, and enthusiasts can rely on the Photonis Defense Viper Binocular to become masters of darkness. The new Viper Binocular system carries the same features and benefits as the Photonis Defense Viper Monocular with a ruggedized body and harnesses the power of the Echo Intensifier tubes, giving you sharper images, reduced halo, and industry-leading ultra-fast auto-gating across the range of dynamic operating conditions. Visit PhotonisDefense.com for more information or look for Photonis Defense product options from your night vision dealer. We talk all about this in this episode, so it's PHOTONIS Defense.com. While we're talking night vision, we got to talk the best ammo out there, and that's none other than Fort Scott Munitions. Fort Scott is a manufacturer of multi-federal patented solid copper and brass CNC spun ammunition. It's designed to tumble upon impact in soft tissue, leaving devastating wound channels for faster bleed out and quicker incapacitation. This ammunition was originally developed to innovate and improve on the standard of military-grade ammunition design. It was found that not only did the TUI ammunition outperform competitors in the self-defense industry, but it quickly became apparent that it will be a top contender for hunters alike. With the ammunition being CNC spun, the tolerances are some of the tightest on the market, ensuring that you receive the same results with each pull of the trigger. If you go to the course coming up, you're going to be shooting with Fort Scott ammunition, of course. Fort Scott's available everywhere, any local dealer, but you can get the best deal through us when you go to FSM.com and use our exclusive promo code BATTLELINE for 15% off. That's FSM.com. Use the promo code BATTLELINE for 15% off. Fort Scott Munitions is a proud supporter of Chris Paranto, Battle Line Tactical, and the Battle Line Podcast. With that, let's get right over to this interview with Sean Kirk and Phil Otto right here on Battle Line Podcast.
From Kansas City to New York City, from planet Earth to extraterrestrial life in space, a podcast with no equal, engaged in unconventional warfare through your speakers and headphones. This is a show about embracing the suck, conquering your demons, and finding God in the face of adversity. Chris Tonto Paranto.
Switch is on. Motherfucker, I'm gonna shoot you in the face.
Ian Scotto.
You know, Ian and I have been dating for a long time.
You are now tuned into the Battle Line Podcast.
The switch is on, Battle Line Podcast, and we every now and again we get the opportunity to do this stuff in studio. For those who don't see video, Chris is in Kansas. The rest of us are in studio. So, favorite of the show, Phil Otto, who you guys know from episodes 101, 166. He's done it all. Retired Marine Corps sergeant, police officer, CIA defense and intelligence contractor, and private sector analyst, and first time on the show in studio, came all the way from Vegas for this. Sean Kirk, Vice President of Photonis Night Vision Systems. And yeah, we've been friends, partners with Photonis, so it's a pleasure to have you in here and talk some night vision.
Thanks for having us. We're excited to be here.
Absolutely.
Wow, what the hell did you
What
guys
he
all
said.
go to New York City for? Wow, what
For us.
just for the show? Come on, no, that's horseshit. Come on now, there had to be other reasons, not just.
Well,
the
there might
show.
be some.
Well,
never mind.
Ian said you were going to be here, so
Oh,
flew out
he
here.
lied. I know, and forgot to add that Phil also is a farmer. So
Yes,
I
Farmer
gotta
Phil.
add that too. I got to add that into his long resume.
He's
of
got his farmer shirt
skill
on today.
sets.
Yeah.
He does.
Yeah.
He does. That's
So
good.
we should get into your background, Sean. You were telling me a little bit about it. You've lived all over the country, as you said, military brat, but didn't
Yeah.
serve in the military. But how'd you get involved in all this? And, what are you up to?
Well, out of college, I was a professional photographer. I worked for Sports Illustrated and Associated Press for about 15 years. And I decided that, back in the 80s, you don't make any money doing any of that. And, you get I got a picture. I'm the only one in the country who got a picture of Jerry Rice with his touchdown record on a
Nice.
Monday night in San Francisco. And I made like $350 for it, right? So I had a new wife and a kid, and I'm traveling all over the place and working weekends, and so I heck with this, and I went to work for Nikon. I worked for Nikon for 10 years, just selling cameras back in the 1 hour photo days, right? And I'm old, and so I. Buddy of mine, we ended up moving to Texas, moving out of California, getting the hell out of California. In '99, when I saw the handwriting on the wall, what's going on in California, and moved to Texas. And a buddy of mine that I went to church with worked for Northrop Grumman in the night vision industry, and he recruited me to come work for them as an inside sales guy. And I just got in the bottom of inside sales job that I could get just to get into the defense industry. And within about 2 years, I was running their international division because I had a lot of experience with living all over the world because my dad was in the Army, and I knew cultures and was interested in that. So I started doing their night vision stuff for all over the world, Taiwan, Japan, Middle East, and then they sold off to L3, and there was layoffs, and I ended up with Photonis about 7 years ago, and here I am.
Are you like a shooter, hunter, all that stuff?
Duck hunter, not a target hunter, not target shooter so much. I mean, I have a bunch of guns and go out and play with them and stuff, but I'm not a deer hunter, any of that kind of stuff. But I'm certainly a gun enthusiast and more importantly, a Second Amendment enthusiast, right? So,
For sure.
So I've got about, 10,000-15,000 rounds of ammo stored away at home since Sandy Hook started. Oh, it actually was Virginia Tech. When Virginia Tech happened, I started just buying up ammo, and so now I've been collecting it and collecting guns for that many years and keep on going.
Cool.
Yeah. Hey, Sean, are you? And correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't remember. Are you in the fabrication part of it as well? Or because you and Phil's a big sales guy too. You guys, he could sell a ketchup popsicle to a woman with white glove.
That's
he's
true.
Freaking awesome.
That's absolutely true. But
did you get in the fabrication of the night vision?
Oh
too?
yeah,
did
we
you
did
learn that at
the Viper. We designed and it and brought it to market. During COVID, we were looking at ways because there was such a shortage of tubes to move up the value chain. So we needed a system that met kind of the needs of law enforcement. So we designed and built the Viper in about 3 months, which is kind of unheard of in the corporate. And now we're selling really well. For the money, it's the best performing, lowest priced goggle on the market.
Yeah, no, that's what on the fabrication part. To me, that's still amazing. I just don't understand how any of that stuff works. And
Well,
I don't know. Maybe you can dumb it down for an idiot like myself that can talk about it.
Interestingly enough, I'm on Friday. I'm going to L.A. I'm flying out of here to L.A. and Friday I got a meeting in L.A. with a company that does 3D printing with metal. And they got all these aerospace alloys and stuff that they're doing, and the problem with this stuff is you got to pay for tooling, and that prevents a lot of people from entering the market because tooling is about $200,000 to build something like that,
Holy
right?
Crap!
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's a big tough barrier entry. So if you want to change something or do something, well, with 3D printing, you can do it on the fly essentially, right? So I'm going to meet with this company and see what they do and see what kind of what kind of fit they'll be for our future systems, which I'm sure we'll talk about a little bit coming up.
Yeah, and 3D printing, it's truly like a game changer. It's going to change everything, I think, in guns, ammo, all of this.
100%.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely
the
has.
Viper is I don't like using the term 3D printed because it sounds like it's an inexpensive product. Although
it does. It sounds like it's a toy. It
Yeah,
sounds like it's inexpensive, but now it's going to be reliable leader.
Right.
That's-
So now the term is that everybody uses is additive manufacturing, right? And that Viper is 3D printed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's additive manufacturing, and it's the quality. I mean, we've tested that thing down, and it meets mill standards, right? We're not claiming it for purposes because we didn't do the full testing. We're not calling it mil spec, but it really is mil spec.
And is that kind of where Phil comes in? Because Phil has the experience. You've done it. You have the military experience. You have the law enforcement experience. You're a guy who's able to say, I would use this in combat, or this is not what I would go with.
Yeah, there's probably
Well,
there's a little bit to that.
He's so
Phil,
modest,
you are-
but absolutely.
There's a
that's
little
the
bit
case.
to that.
Phil, you are really clumsy too, dude. You fall all the time.
Right.
You break shit. Just walking through the
Yeah.
doorways
So-
and clearing, and you catch it. So yeah, I mean, I feel it'd be perfect
Yeah.
for
Sounds like
testing that
that's
stuff.
spoken from experience, Chris.
Yeah, exactly. Phil, you got to clear the doorway. You don't
Right.
hit it with your night vision. Get around the corner, man. Come on,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Get your goggles. No, go. I'm sorry, Phil. I got to give you shit because you know that, dude.
No, that's all right.
We have he's being modest, but absolutely when we were developing this stuff, his input and advice is invaluable. And you're right, he can sell ice to an Eskimo. So if you give him something that he believes in, and he's been selling the crap out of these things, and there really isn't anything on the market for the law enforcement market, which is traditionally tough because they're always broke.
Yeah.
And this allows them to buy something that's reasonably priced and, almost get two for what they would get one of the other guys, right?
And I was going to say also just knowing you guys as long as I have, not, you personally, but knowing the company, going to SHOT Show. And as you said, I think we did meet at SHOT Show.
Yeah.
But you guys also, not just Phil, you have people like Justin Sheehan, who Navy SEAL, I believe DevGru, right?
Yep.
If I remember. So
Well, that's up to him to say.
okay. Well, I think we wrote it in the description. But,
Right.
DevGru veterans, MARSOC
Right.
veterans, you have so many guys who rep this product and are like, yeah, this is what we need in combat. And then also for me, the game changer was I wasn't a part of the course that you guys did. And you have another one coming up, which we'll talk about.
Right.
But you even had like real big gun enthusiasts like the guys at Fort Scott who didn't really know the difference between a night vision product that wasn't up to par with this. And then when they saw the difference, were like, wow, I need to use this. I need to invest in good night vision.
Yeah, and the point that you make there, until you get behind it, that's really where we've kind of brought Photonis as a brand from being like an outlier a few years back to, I would say, being a pretty strong competitor and kind of keeping everybody else on their toes, right? Is put the goggle in front of people's face, let them look at it, let them make the call on where they want to spend their money, or if it's a professional end user, what they want to depend on, when it counts. And we do really well when it comes to that. And that's really,
and that comparison is really important because there's lots of misinformation and lots of nefarious people that are, for lack of a better term, fanboys of the other guys out there and have been for years for whatever reason. And an example is at SHOT Show. We had darkroom in our booth at SHOT Show, and we had a competitor's tube in one side of that bino and ours in the other side, and didn't tell him it was a blind choice. Put them in the dark room, let them choose.
Pepsi challenge, right?
It
Exactly.
was like the Pepsi challenge.
Exactly. Let them choose, and 100. Nothing happens at 100%, right? Unless you're a Democratic voter. But nothing happens at 100%, and 100% of the people picked our tube over the other guys.
I did. I remember going in that dark room. It was when I did the last time I went to SHOT Show was like 3 years ago, and
2 years
you're
ago,
right?
right? Two.
Was it two?
Yeah.
I think
I'm
it was
getting
two.
old, Ian.
Two.
I'm getting old as
20,
fuck.
I think it was
dude.
20. I think it was 20.
It was because we were both there.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. I'm getting senile, dude. Come on, help me out. Give me a little break, dude. But I do remember going into that in that dark room, and it was literally figuratively night and day difference between the competitors. But you're spot on. I was going to ask you about that as well. getting in and I don't know if you're trying to get into government contracts. Phil and I don't talk about the business stuff because, I tell you, that's privy and I'm not on the know. I don't need to know. But I do know that getting into those contracts, it's hard to get in because you do have those, and you are going against a competitor that's been around forever.
Yeah.
That has, you're right, the fanboys, to put it loosely.
Yeah.
And,
Kind of a legacy.
It is
competition that's hard to bust. And
hey, are there backdoor deals that they've done? I'm not going to say yes or no, but I wouldn't bet against it. I bet dollars to donuts that there is every once. So I've been around long enough to know that, and been up in DC long enough to know that. How do you get in? How do you? I mean, the product is 10 times. It's better. It is better than what else is out there. It's why we rep you. It's why I always talk highly about you. It's why not just because of my relationship with Phil. It's if the product was shit, then Phil and I, we'd still be friends, but I wouldn't be talking about Photonis Defense.
No.
The product has to be fantastic as well. Then our friendship's just the cherry on top. But how do you get in, man? How do you bust that? Really, it's that little that good old boy network, I guess, or the fraternity sorority network that's already there.
It's a lot of work, Chris. I would tell you that.
Yeah.
Between
we
Phil and I,
can't divulge methods and sources.
No, I don't need. I didn't
We'd
sign the
have to tell you.
NDA, dude. I didn't sign it.
But there are venues that make that where they want to see the other technologies that are out there. And when I say they, I'm talking about the government, right?
Yeah.
And every year there's a program at Benning called AEWE, which is Advanced Expeditionary Warfare Experiment.
Yep.
And just to give you a quick, your listeners a quick and watchers a quick overview of it, is they get squads of about 150 guys in total, multiple squads, a lot of them from other countries as well. And they take submissions of about 1,000 technologies and white papers and quad charts, and then they whittle it down to about 100, and they bring in those. And usually they don't bring in competitors. They'll pick one night vision, right? They had one drone company and that kind of stuff. So 2 years ago, right, 2020.
2 years.
2021. We were selected. We were the only night vision there, and it was everybody that saw it had the same reaction you have, Chris. It was a game changer. First of all, especially these young guys that are, for lack of a better term, grunts, ground pounders out there. They're using this green crap that was from Omni 7, which was I was part of the red team on that at Northrop Grumman in the day.
Oh, no
Yeah, and that was in 2003. So they're still using goggles from almost 20 years ago.
Wow.
Are you kidding me? They still are. It's still those
There's
from
600.
that.
There's 630,000 of them in inventory in the Army.
Wow.
630,000 of them, and Northrop Grumman did half of that. The rest was split with IT at the time.
And also there's newer. So you got ENVGB, right?
Yeah.
Which is a night vision fused with a thermal sensor to give you an overlay with the thermal, both monocular and binocular, right? They've got both, but they would still rather just take a good binocular night vision system over that.
The PEO guys,
just because of the weight reduction.
The program guys and the scientific guys all want the whiz bang, latest and greatest, most complicated, blah blah blah, and then that comes out at $40,000 a unit that you got 5 guys in a squad. Running, the math doesn't work over the entire Army that way, right? So we handed them about 6 months ago, I think, right, Phil, this Bino, if you can see it, and they love it just because you turn it on, you push the button, it works.
That's it.
You turn it off.
You're right. It's the ease of use. I think guys get around. You're right. The contracting guys, the people you go see, the ones that are sitting behind the desk, crunching the numbers, or looking at it from behind a desk, or may have not been operational for a while because you rank yourself out of being an operator. Eventually, you're going to be an 06 or an 07,
right.
Or you're going to be, and that's nothing. They used to do it, just like myself and Phil that are in our 30s. We age ourselves out of being operator. You do. But the thing is that when you put it in the guy's hands, and that's what I liked about it, was simplicity. I mean, you can have all the cool gadgets in the world, but if I have to fuck around with that thing under duress, I'm not going to be able to do what I need to do.
Right.
or I may hit the wrong button. It's simplicity, and then also, like I said, the caliber and how well it works. But to me, as a guy on the ground, it was always, hey, I just want to turn it on and let it work. I don't want to mess with the thing, and then also eventually the weight, because you get rubberneck and all that other shit.
Did Chris say
but that's what
dress while he's operating? Is that what he just said? Did he say he wears a dress when he's operating?
I know.
I do. Underdress. Okay, it's a different thing.
I do. Actually, I do wear a dress. It's actually pink with frills.
Okay.
Hey, don't hate me.
It's a mental picture there, Chris. Thanks.
Don't hate my sexiness.
That's funny.
But you're right on that. It's that the ease of use and simplicity, but then also you want something that's excellent and works. And so the bending thing, when that happened, after that happened, and what happened? Did the orders just explode? Did the contracts come in, or is it still?
Well, they move this like turning a battleship, getting the big DoD to big army to do anything. So no is the answer, but it opens some eyes. We have some definite advantage over there. I won't even go as far as you say and say we're better. What I tell people, trying to be a little bit modest with it, is that we're a different tool for a different job, right? L3 stuff works great. It was designed for use. The PVS-14 was designed in 1999, and where were we fighting in that part of the world? In the Middle East, right?
Middle East,
and it was designed for dark areas with only starlight and maybe moonlight kind of thing, and it works great for that. When you get into urban, it doesn't work nearly as well. Ours works much better than that. Also, and this doesn't really apply for much the average guy, but our technology allows you to see covert lasers with our goggles that the other guys can't see.
That's awesome.
They can see it for a few feet, but we can see it for kilometers.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. So think about doing target designating and spotting, and soft lambs and islids and that kind of stuff. It's really, and so I'm doing a roundabout way answering your question. That part of the technology really, really got some attention and is really getting some play within DoD now. And I don't want to talk it up too much because our competition is probably going to listen to this. And
talk it up, because I don't give a shit. They need to catch them. That's the beauty of a free market.
Their technology won't do it, right? They can't catch up because it's a totally different technology.
Well, and then it goes down to the buyers and the purchasers and all the S shops there within the special operations community and the grunt community. It's like, hey, motherfuckers, get off your ass and go get photonic and buy this stuff so your guys come home at night.
No kidding.
That's and then the law enforcement community. But you're right. It's hard on their budgets. It really is. So having something that's inexpensive that still works better than the competitors, well, you're killing two birds with one stone, or you're killing two bad guys with one set of night vision. However you want to look at it. I maybe that's not politically correct saying, but regardless, is that you're doing it right. So I'll talk it up. You don't have to. I will. I got no issues with them.
I appreciate that.
I should point out for the audience, because there have been people who want to get good night vision, and truthfully, just being honest here, they see the price of Photonis and they're like, "Whoa, this is way out of my budget." And it's because this is a premium product. Yeah. This is not something you're just going to get at your average sporting goods store. This is just really great night vision that's top of the line, mil spec quality. As you're saying, not all models are necessarily mil spec, but as close as you're going to get to that.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, kind of off the topic of just Photonis, but with you being a shooter and all that, and you were talking about the different atmospheres that you shoot in. Shooting in Vegas is it's a pretty cool experience.
It is.
I did get the chance to do it at SHOT Show at times. Do you regularly get to shoot out there in the desert?
Yeah.
So any cool stories of shooting out there? Any places that when people visit Vegas that they need to go to if they're shooters?
Well, believe it or not, the Clark County has the most amazing range that's built by Clark County, which you would think would happen, right? They've got they're not long. So they're not, 1,000-yard ranges or anyway, but they've got a great setup out there. And then they've got the pro shooting club out there in Boulder City, which is right up against the hill. That they do a lot of range days and stuff out there during SHOT. It's there's some really good ranges out there, and it's harder to do now, but you used to be able to. And if you know your stuff and you've been around long enough, you can go out in the desert and just shoot.
Yeah.
Now they've limited a lot of that now, but but if there are still places you can go out and do it and throw throw some reactive targets out there and
So hit you up if you're at SHOT Show.
oh yeah,
you can
we'll
tell
go.
them the
We'll
deal.
take your word to go. Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
What about? I feel like everybody when you go to Vegas and sees Vegas, and I don't know if it's tourist trap type thing. Machine Guns Vegas, is that bullshit or is it?
No,
it's a good spot?
It's real, but the issue is not renting the gun; it's the ammo, right? I mean, you go through 100 rounds in 2.5 seconds, and here's another $250 you got to pay me. It's not a scam, but it's certainly a racket that they're.
But it's like a
making
tourist trap.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah, it really is. Yeah, and then they've got you can shoot a 50 cal, and it's $17 a round,
Because you and I were talking about all the cool stuff going on. That's a lot.
Wait, how did you say $17 a round? Holy balls!
I might be off by $1 or $2, but literally, yeah,
It's wild.
Yeah, it's big.
We're
money.
in the wrong. Damn, we're in the wrong business.
You got to do it.
Does
You got to do
Photonis
it.
think
You got
about
to do
doing
it for
that?
free.
Can we get in? But I'll get to shoot a couple, but
Yeah.
I'd like to make the money too.
No kidding.
When you decide to move into that arena, me and Ian will run the range for you. We'll
There
do
you
the
go.
podcast out of there,
There you
and
go.
we'll run the range.
That
So
would be
we'll-
cool, man.
Deal,
Doing
that
a
would be awesome.
podcast at a range like that.
Yeah.
But we were talking about all the cool stuff going on in Vegas because you did get to see the Sphere. I've been talking because when I told Chris about the Sphere, he was like, "What is this?" When I was showing him the U2 stuff,
Yeah.
It is cool.
I'm debating if I want to go see U2 because we were both saying we're both fans of U2.
Yeah.
I'm debating if I want to do that when I go for SHOT Show. But you were saying like decent seats, right? Or like $650, you were saying.
$650 to $700.
But
Yeah.
you weren't there for U2. You just
I
went
didn't
for
go-
you
yeah,
just went
not
for the
yet.
movie.
It's on my bucket list. I will before they're gone. I'm going to go see them.
It will be.
Well,
I mean, I've never seen
I'm gonna pay the
U2,
money.
and I love U2.
Yeah.
So
I've seen a bunch of the video of the concert.
same. And it looks. And Chris saw it too.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's incredible. But the movie is very preachy climate change.
Right, yeah.
Climate change.
Very
but,
PC.
But I didn't care. I just went in and sat and just watched the spectacle of it inside is like. I've
The way I heard
never seen
Eddie
anything like it again.
Yeah, the way I heard Eddie Trunk describe it on Sirius, which by the way, we're going to have stuff on Sirius's website because of Dylan at some point soon, which Chris and I are talking about, which I'm excited for. But off of that subject, the way he described it, it's like IMAX like times 10.
Times 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard to describe. It's so immersive, and the sound is like nothing I've ever heard before. And I'm kind of an audiophile, so
Yeah, same here.
It's amazing.
I'm debating what I want to do while I'm there because like you got if we could go to the Sphere, I want to do. I don't know. I don't care about the movie. I want to see U2. Do I want to pay $600 to see U2? I don't know about that. I do want to see Golden Knights game. I believe the Rangers are playing the Knights while we're there. I looked, so I'm an Islanders guy, but I might. It's funny. Every time Chris is in Vegas, he never does like cool Vegas shit. I got to at least do Chris Angel,
I've done
so.
all the cool Vegas shit.
You haven't done the Sphere. None of us have, except this man.
It'll be cool. It'll be cool for you to get to see the Rangers lose to the Knights while you're.
I don't mind if we do. I'm an Islanders guy, so bring it on.
And my cool shit is I'm old school Rat Pack Dean Martin. I love Dean
Oh.
Martin. I am that I want to go and see in even the old restaurants. I try to find an old steak place that is that old town Vegas feel. That's what I love.
The one
I
that
love
everybody loves is Golden Steer, and you've probably been there.
Golden Steer. Yeah,
yeah.
it's long. I wouldn't mind going back there. That's what I was trying to think.
It was
Dylan,
okay.
man.
It was
do it then. Yeah.
It was okay, but there's one, and Phil's been here, called Bootleggers, and it was owned by Howard Hughes.
No way.
When he had the Landmark Hotel, he went to Italy. This is if we have time for this story.
Yeah,
I'll tell
go
it
into
real quick.
it.
He
Yeah,
went
we
to-
have tons
He
to
went
tell.
to
We have
Italy,
plenty.
this little town in northern Italy, and this nonna. He stayed at a pensione, which is a little bed and breakfast in northern Italy, and loved this woman's cooking so much. He moved her entire family to Vegas, and started a restaurant for her in his Landmark Hotel, which it was the earlier version of the Strat, right? It was it looked like a UFO before I think they took it down in the 70s. But when they took that hotel down, she moved out by the airport. Her daughter was the lieutenant governor of the state. The matriarch of the family, the lady that Howard Hughes brought over. Worked in that restaurant into her 90s. She just died 6 or 7 years ago.
Oh, wow.
But it's called Bootleggers, but it's where the Rat Pack went almost every night after their shows, at the Riviera back in the day. And it's still got a cheesy lounge guy on piano playing
That's
music.
awesome.
It's so great. It's really,
What do you
really
think
good.
of it, Phil?
Yum.
It was good.
It was good. Yeah, no, the food was great.
food's amazing.
Now the location you're talking about is new today, though.
Yes,
right?
correct.
The one out at the airport.
Yeah.
Because I was gonna say the Riviera's not there
No,
anymore.
no.
That's
Actually,
like,
they
okay.
moved, when they took the landmark down, they moved the restaurant out there by the airport.
I'll
Okay.
check that out because while we're in Vegas, it'd be cool to do stuff like that. So
We'll have
Dylan,
to take you to dinner when you're out
we'll
there.
do it because
Yeah.
last time I was there, Dylan got a badge for Photonis. If we could do that again, because he lives in Vegas, and he does a lot of like ad sales type stuff for us. And he showed me around some stuff in Vegas. But it'd be cool if all of us did that. I just when I'm in Vegas, I like to at least do a few cool Vegas things, not just be on the floor at SHOT Show. I mean, I like SHOT Show. I know every year Chris is like, I'm over it, but I actually do always enjoy it. But I also enjoy doing other cool Vegas
Well,
stuff.
you get
while I'm
pulled
there.
so many ways, Chris.
That's the thing. It's a different
I can imagine-
experience
it
for you
really
than it
is,
is for
yeah,
us.
Well, here's the deal. As I went to junior college just down the road, played football. I spent my times in college in Vegas. I even found an old picture of me at the Tropicana watching a porno on the TV and getting drunk with. I mean, that's so to tell you that I haven't done even the debauchery stuff at Vegas, I'd be lying to you. I had back in the day.
Did the women have Bush at that time, or
They did.
Well, you should save that picture because
They
the
did,
Tropicana is going to be
But-
gone in about 6 months
I
because they're
see,
going
but
to build a baseball park there.
Oh man, that you can't. That was back in the college. 5 of us stayed in one room because we
Yeah.
couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm telling Ian. I love the architecture. I love Vegas because I do love the lights. I love architecture. That's why I was an insurance adjuster for so many years in a contract, an actual building contract. But seeing all the sites, and I've done the lower the depths of Vegas, and then I've also been at the penthouse at Caesars.
Yeah,
speaking for Red. So, but I do like to go. But for me now going, it's more of the I do like the old school stuff. I do like the old. I lived in the wrong century. I wish I would have lived during not the
me
wrong
too.
century, but the wrong time around
Yeah.
the Rat Pack days. Because
Yeah, me too.
and so that's what I dig with Vegas now going there is I want to find the old spots like that where they do have the old cheesy guy still playing piano, where they're still serving you in a tuck, like a white tuck shirt and cufflinks and you've got Dean Martin playing in the background. Or you got Sammy Davis Jr. That's my thing. Now,
that'd be cool.
what Ian said with the Sphere, is that the Spherian?
Yeah,
Is that what? Yeah, I want to see it because I think it's just gorgeous.
Yeah.
I love architecture, and seeing U2 would be cool. I used to bodyguard for U2 when they would come in.
I didn't know that.
Tacoma. Yeah,
Did
I shouldn't say.
Did you know them at all? Or
Nah, dude, they just picked us. They picked whenever they came to Tacoma, they picked the Ranger guys to do their security for them. So all second back guys, we go to the concert for free and we pull their security whenever they're at the Tacoma Dome. And they were great. I loved watching them, but it's I don't get to let's go see you too. It would be more of, man, let's just go see this architecture because I think it'd just be gorgeous
Yeah,
and
it's
the
pretty
light
amazing.
show and the ambiance. So
Yeah.
that's my thing. I just had to voice my opinion there because I don't know. I haven't been on the show for 2 weeks. So I won't
That's
talk
true.
anymore.
Hey, hope you guys are enjoying this show. Before we go any further, this show is sponsored by our great friends at Bubs Naturals. I got to tell you, one of my new favorite products is the hydration pack. It's Hydrate or Die, which is the best name ever. If you're drinking all this crap with sugar, whether it's Gatorade, Powerade, vitamin water too is loaded with sugar. This is something that's going to hydrate you, the electrolytes from the coconut water, but it's not loaded with sugar. And it tastes great. And actually, we were talking about the whole COVID thing going around. I got over it quicker probably because I was using those hydration packets. I believe, at least. Those are great. And I know you're a fan of, everything from Bubs. The Bubs
Dude,
brew.
Bubs is fantastic.
best.
The instant brew now that comes with the MCT oil. So I got something to travel with, man. Or I should say that the MCT, the creamer, the Halo creamer that's
Yes.
already in it. And then the collagen, which has helped me get back on the horse again, literally and figuratively, with my knee and surgery that I'm finally getting over. So yeah, Bubs is tremendous. And then, supporting Glenn Doherty Memorial Foundation, supporting Bub, that's a caveat. That's the cherry on top. So, but everything Bubs is fantastic, and they give back to Bubs Foundation, which means a lot to me. And I know it means a lot to people who follow Benghazi and 9/11, 2012.
Yeah, and they don't just give back a small amount. I mean, they give back 10% of all profits to the Glenn Doherty Memorial Foundation. This is helping guys whose families, guys we've lost in combat, their families with their education, all different types of stuff the Glenn Doherty Memorial Foundation is doing. You can actually follow their account to see the great work that they're doing. But for Bubs Naturals, any of that stuff we mentioned, the apple cider vinegar gummies, great for cleansing, all of those products, bubsnaturals.com. Use the promo code BattleLine for 20% off. That's bubsnaturals.com, promo code BattleLine for 20% off. Thanks as always to the guys from Bubs, Sean Lake, just great people. And with that, let's get right back to this episode with Sean Kirk and Phil Otto. Yeah, it's been a little bit. We had Jim Shockey on last week, which was cool. Canadian hunter, Canadian wildlife type guy, and he had some really cool stories if you guys want to check that out. But yeah, I'm looking forward to being back there. I didn't do SHOT Show last year. It's always just a good time. And also just I personally, there's so many people I've met from all these years in the firearms community. And although some of the stuff you're like, all right, I've seen this a million times, when people go to a booth like yours, they'll check it out and be like, because I think there still are people who are into night vision but aren't familiar with Photonis yet. Right. And they'll go into that booth and they'll be like, okay, I didn't know that it's come this far in the past few years.
Yeah. So can we talk about a little bit about...
talk about anything you want to talk about.
So we've talked about a lot about the Viper, but now there's a new generation coming along called the Viper Pro, which will be here hopefully by SHOT. It's still a little bit up in the air, but what we do have right now, we got the first article and have here today, hard to demonstrate on here, is our new wide angle lens, wide angle field of view system, which takes you from 40 degree field of view to 50, which doesn't sound like much, but when you've got a circular area, it's about 128% more field of view.
Wow.
So it's significant. And Chris, you can talk about this, but when you're clearing rooms, and if you don't have to do the head scans near as much, you can talk about that. How important that is.
It's your peripheral advantage. I mean, that's what gives you a huge advantage at night with the. I mean, that's why we went to the four bangers.
Yeah,
because you're saving time. Your peripheral vision. You catch a lot more stuff coming out of those corners than you do when you do have binos on. And even in Benghazi that night we had, I think, 15s. They were the old task force ones, the old Night Stalker.
PVS 15s, 18s.
15s. Yep. But that was revolutionary from going from the 14s to the 15s. But you really do have to have your head on a swivel back and forth constantly, and you get used to it. Don't get me wrong. Right. And if you worked for them for a while, you definitely get used to that. But being able to widen that field of view where you don't have to use where you can use your peripheral vision and you're more in tune. First, you're going to get less headaches. That's for damn sure. Your neck's going to feel better, but you're going to be safer because you're acquiring targets quicker. You're seeing quicker. So I like to see that, because I don't know, how do you do that with a bino? I mean, and the reason you do it with the binos there as well, and correct me if I'm wrong, since they are four bangers and you guys do make the four bangers, is it money? I mean, is it that we're able to widen our peripheral vision, but you don't have to go and spend the cost for those four bangers than you do for the binos? Is it just, and it's just to be better? Honestly, it's just to have a better bino out there than your competitor.
Well, I guess it's kind of like some products you buy, right? We don't make our money on the product. We make it on the upgrades and all the additives, right? No.
Yeah.
No. Well, it's just the next expansion of, what's already out there, right? I mean, having the option to go 50-degree field of view is going to set us apart from somebody that isn't offering that option. So, that's going to be available on our systems, and more than likely as a component other dealers can buy and add it to their systems.
Yeah, think about this, Chris.
Yeah.
Of the 630,000 PVS 14s that are out there in the Army inventory that have been around for 23 years, we could upgrade the mono to a Viper housing, which is much more rugged than what they have. We could put a wide field of view, 50-degree field of view objective on there, and optics on it, and put a white phosphor tube in it, and all that for less than the cost of the original system.
Wow.
And they could extend the life of that thing by years and not have to go to a full new system, which they're talking about going to, new binos, which they will do.
you could repurpose that
We
14.
absolutely could.
Well, we
Holy
don't
crap.
want the Taliban running around with a 40-degree field
Wait,
of view, do we?
exactly.
I mean, we got to start
Wow.
putting 50 degrees out.
We already
Ouch.
outfitted the shit out of him with everything.
That's
Yeah,
right.
we got to start
Right.
making something different.
Yeah.
And then, can we put that in a contract too? That if the United States government ever cuts and runs out of a country again, that it's a requirement that they actually have to destroy the equipment before leaving them, especially the night vision. Or
Well,
can Photonis not do that in the contract? I
Believe-
mean, can we put that in
believe
there?
it or not, that is law, right?
I
Because all
know,
this stuff is
yeah.
controlled. It just nobody did it, right?
Don't worry about it. Here, take
Yeah.
the Apache. Take the Apache. We don't need it.
Sure, why
Yeah,
not?
Go ahead.
But,
Yeah. So, the 50-degree field of view, Chris, it actually reduces system weight by 40 grams, gives you 10-degree wider field of view.
How does it reduce the weight if you're making? Because usually when you're
It's PFM,
adding something,
man.
doesn't it?
PFM.
Holy shit! Wow.
It's FM technology, right?
It's FM technology.
Yeah.
Fucking magic.
Yeah.
It's so yeah, we can drop weight, give you more field of view, so you're picking up these. You can identify things quicker. They come into field of view quicker.
Yeah.
And then we're going to add where this Viper, the basic Viper, is just basically no frills, right? Push button on off, large tactile button under gloves, under duress. You find what you need to find when you need to find it. We're going to add battery pack capability to extend runtime, without swapping batteries. Although this is already 24 hours, it seems like a lot. That'll bump up to 40 or 50 with the battery pack. And then we're going to put onboard illuminator. And then what Sean was kind of going down the rabbit hole with was our technology can see into the SWIR, shortwave infrared category, right? Most analog night vision sees NIR, which range-wise 5 to 850, 5 to 900 nanometer. And that's where a lot of your IR lasers run, IR lights run in that 8 to 900 realm. We're going to put something above 1,000 nanometer as far as the illuminator on it. So that way it is a hugely reduced signature to any near-peer night vision threats. Because we know they have them. We know China has them. We know Russia has them. We know they can see our lasers. But if you use Photonis tubes and the right laser, then now we've significantly, I don't want to say 100% reduced, we've significantly eliminated that near-peer detection threat for lasers, lights, and luminaires, that thing.
Now, is there going to be like how we have when you had a visual loom on a night vision? Yeah, your visual flash. They have a separate piece, it's got to be on the turn knob. You got to adjust it. Do you have to for you to be able to visually see those enemies' looms? And is it?
No,
you have to adjust anything. It's right there, or do you have to actually do another separate setting on your?
Well, it'll be incorporated into the buttonology of the existing system, basically. So maybe a long button or like a double tap to engage the illuminator. But the important thing is the illuminator here will be at a wavelength to where non-Photonis night vision will not pick it up or barely pick it up. So it's signature reduction. And that's really looking at the China-Russia threat nowadays, which if you ever listen to the generals, who do they say we're going to war? I mean, that's
crazy.
They flat out tell you, right? Well, let's, make the playing field uneven. Let's switch up our battlefield signature in lasers and illuminators has been the same for 30 years, right? Why are we still doing that? Well, because
our enemy,
legacy systems can't see
legacy
it.
systems can't see it, so they're not going to switch. If who's playing games right now is not going to offer something that can see outside of that band.
And thank you for joining us for Farmer Gets Technical.
No, Phil's killing it when he gets into all this because this is stuff way above what I know.
Yeah, so it's exciting, and that's really, and Sean kind of alluded to it, but that's really where we're making our kind of getting our notice within DoD because it's at a pretty significant level. Like there's things going on. There's parts moving. We'll see where it ends up, but we've got some companies we're working with that actually develop these lasers that operate in different spectrums. And there's some companies out there that do it, but it doesn't happen on large scale right now because, because the DoD doesn't have our tubes.
I was curious about that when you're talking about the Russia
Not
stuff.
many, anyway.
I know that I know Photonis is openly like very pro-Israel company. Just go on your Instagram and stuff like that with what's going on there, with what's going on in Ukraine. Totally unrelated things. But I'm just wondering, is anyone over there using Photonis that you know of?
Yeah, yes. The IDF uses our tubes. It's not Photonis USA's system, but they use our tubes almost exclusively.
And that says a lot because the IDF is great at what they do.
We own over 70% of the market worldwide.
Wow.
Just not here in the U.S. yet. And there's a reason for that. It's our technology is really good.
Well, that's where I get again the legacy, the DC backdoor connections and stuff. How do we end that? Or is it never going to end?
No, I think it's going to. I think it's happening now. Again, like I said earlier, it's turning a battleship, right? It's difficult. It takes a lot of work and effort and a lot of, and this sounds crazy, but even with DoD, it's about relationships. And this guy's as good as anybody there is at building relationships.
He is a very friendly, cuddly, big old cuddly individual, like a big old black bear. Man.
I don't cuddle with him, but I
cuddle
see why people would.
When I'm under my duress, I cuddle with him.
Yeah, there you go.
What Phil's saying, and he's spot on. We've had the advantage. We're good at what we do. The troops are good. American troops, American Special Operations are excellent, probably the best trained in the world, if not the best. There's arguments with, of course, the Israeli Special Ops and SAS and so forth, but we've always had that night vision advantage. And you're right, we're losing that, but we've had it for years, and that is a huge force multiplier. I tell you from my experience, we crushed them with 6 people against however many they were coming at us. I think 40 at a time. Is because we could see them and they couldn't see us. Well, after Afghanistan and maybe before that, go ahead.
That wouldn't happen now. Since Afghanistan,
that's what I'm saying.
Has swarmed the black market. So what you're referencing is probably never going to happen again.
That's what I'm saying. I guess that's where I was going with this. How do you guys? Do you do it so we have that? We 100% advantage again.
It's just sweat, blood, sweat, and tears, and work. And it's literally we've been pushing this to DoD for 15 years.
Wow.
And we're literally within the last 2 years, we've started to make some headway. And even now it's slow, but I'm convinced that, before I retire in 6 or 7 years, we're going to have a major contract with with DoD.
We'll bring him kicking and screaming. We'll bring him along.
Yep.
Well, I was going to say, for people in our audience who have listened for as long as Photonis has been with us, a lot of people picked up Photonis Night Vision. People listening to this episode who are now like, I need to go with this. If you have it and you want to learn from the best of how to do this, December 3rd, Fort Scott, Kansas. Phil will be there. Chris will be there.
Yeah.
And go to TontosGearLocker.com to sign up. You know what I was going to tell you, by the way? This is neither here nor there, but this is probably more of a Jeremy thing. You know what's weird? If I go to TontosGearLocker.com, I can see all the classes. But if I go to ChrisTontoPeranto.com and I click on Battleline Tactical, I just see like information on Battleline Tactical.
We'll fix it.
It needs to be streamlined because I was just like, oh, there's no classes coming up. But then I went to So go to TontosGearLocker.com. That's where you'll see the classes.
Jeremy's
what the
texting
hell,
Chris
Jeremy?
Right now.
What? No, that's again, success or failure of any mission falls on the highest chain of command. That's me. So
I'm right though, right? Because
I will get that shit fixed. In fact.
Think about it though. How many people don't know about TontosGearLocker.com, but they know about ChrisTontoPeranto.com?
But we've always had. That's the thing is we've always had the classes. You could always. That was the first thing you do is you go because Battleline Tactical started before the Gear Locker, so that's where you had to go to sign up. Why we've changed that? I don't know. We will fix that shit immediately.
But that's one of the next one. I don't think it's the next class, or it's one of the next because you have 2 classes in a row. December 3rd is the night vision.
The December 2nd is just a defensive concealed carry. They're separate. They're autonomous. They're not going to be so people if they want to come. Hey, times are tough. Money's tough to come by, so it is. I just didn't want to do it. And Phil, this is the reason we're putting air in our dirty laundry here. But I didn't do it a double 2 days because hey, well, some people right now with how expensive shit is, they can't spend $500 and travel on a course. So hey, if you want to just come to one of them, come to one or the other. And we've got a couple signers for each, so we'll have them and. Pray that December, Kansas, it could be 70, it could be 30, but pray that it's in the upwards of the at least. I'll take 50 degrees.
I got to tell you, they picked a perfect day to come to New York. How amazing is this?
Unbelievable.
This is all I'm wearing. I don't have a hoodie.
November.
And apparently Saturday it's supposed to be in the 80s. I may go to the beach in the end of October. We'll see what happens. Yeah. Before we go, unless Chris has anything, what I was going to ask, we talked night vision a lot with Phil last time. We got into some war stories the first time. Do you have any other cool Marine stories, cop stories that you can give us? Because this audience loves that stuff. You got to have something. All your years of experience, you've got some cool stories.
Well, I was focused on,
selling this, but you definitely have something cool that, or is Chris? Is there something cool that you guys experienced together? I mean, I don't,
Phil and I, really when we were together, most of the stuff was pretty easy. But we look back at it now, it's like to us it was easy. We did a lot of surveillance together, a lot of just doing AFM, driving around and trying to pick up tails, and I still remember. Driving around that Shari Na district with Phil, and it was always cool because we could get out of the car, we could walk around. He never would get spun up. I never would. It was like we were driving around in freaking Omaha, Nebraska. I mean, it was like, and even shit would be going on. Hey, Phil, you hear that explosion? Yeah. You don't go shit. Now we're good. And we keep, we just keep moving. That was the thing with Phil that I enjoyed, and guys like Phil that I worked with, especially as early, is later on you get guys that would get spun up way too quick. And that GRS, that's not the job. You go do something else, go to Ground Branch, stay in. But Phil was one of those guys. It was always, yeah, Phil, hey, somebody's shooting at us. Well, okay, well, let's shoot back then. Yeah, so that's I think that's why probably he's translated into a good salesman, because he doesn't unless I'm missing something. Okay, here's a story. Have you ever seen Phil get spun up at work with Photonis Defense?
No, this is what I was going to say. So he hasn't mellowed over the years, because sometimes I have to check if he has a pulse.
I know.
Honestly,
right?
Yeah.
Do you have something though now that you've had some time, or any?
Not really a story, but I was going to say to Chris at one of the locations, there was the folks that worked opposite of us, but they had a van and it was painted like the A-Team van. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that
black.
shit, the A-Team van. Yeah,
and they drove. They'd do some log runs or wherever they were going, and it was painted no shit like the A-Team van, all black, had that red stripe like mag wheels. It was armored, like you couldn't tell, but it was armored. But I thought that was. You just notice some funny shit when you're out there. And
remember I want to say we at least, I don't know if you're in on it. We had a bet because it was the only thing. You're supposed to blend in when there's IEDs and VBIEDs everywhere. So driving the only van in the whole country of Afghanistan that looks like the A-Team didn't really blend in. So we had a bet going to when it would get hit. And I didn't win it because it never got hit when I was there. I wonder if it ever did, but. Yeah, that was just our compatriots who always like to.
Not in my time, I didn't see it get hit, but
it's the jackassery stuff that you really remember. I mean, you remember the horrible stuff too, but it's the stuff that you just people will think, really, that's what went on there. You got to have fun, you got to enjoy it. And that van, that A-Team van, I forgot about that, man. See me smile when you start talking about it. There in Kabul is where it was.
Did they paint it like that over there, or did it come over that way?
You know what?
I don't
know. That's a great question. I bet they painted it like it over there.
That's crazy.
That'd be my guess.
Something to do.
I mean,
right?
When there were other locations, we lived out in town, and I know right outside of our house, had a little Afghani like groundskeeper, whatever. And he had like these marijuana plants right outside our door, and he would always, trim them up every morning and fertilize them, keep them nice. And here we are living in that house, and nobody's. Yeah, I'm sure that's not illegal over there. that I know of. I don't know.
Well, fuck, they have
But
opium
it's
fields.
just
Dude.
right.
Come on,
Yeah.
come on. You can do heroin out there if you. I mean, I'm sure some of us did when we dipped in a swar or whatever the hell they were.
Oh,
I know in
God.
Kandahar, I must have got something because we were in Lashkar, and I remember dipping Copenhagen, and he gave me his Naswar, and I took some. It had to have something because I was spinning. I just remember going, "Whoa, what the stars!" And I just fucking Yellow Submarine and shit, and he was laughing at me. A little Afghani Kandahar security force. I love that little guy. He was just laughing at me. Yeah, Mr. Tonto, you fucked up, Mr. Tonto. I do remember that story. That was good times. And boy, the night vision. And it wasn't photonic because you guys didn't exist at that time. If you did, I would have been wearing it. So I remember, but I had the competitor's night vision. I remember putting it on and looking up at the stars, and I was like in the spirit world from Young Guns. I was like, oh yeah, this is awesome up here. And those were good times, man. Good times. And
They didn't catch that on a poly, did they?
No, I never had to take a poly. Dude.
Oh.
I remember I was a contractor. I wasn't going for my TSC. Give me my TS, I'm good. I don't need my
good enough.
TSCI. Shit, fuck that. That's too much responsibility. I've never sit at a computer. But I guess going in and at the end here and talking with the MVGs and the night, the market, we go with the government market, but a lot of our listeners are civilians, and we do it to law enforcement. Again, which ones, and we do get a lot of hunters. You find a lot more coyote and hog hunters that are going and upgrading because they are very much into it, upgrading to higher end night vision. Is that what you recommend for them? Is the Viper? Well, we talked about the Viper a lot. I've used the Viper. You came out last time with the Viper. Is there something else that you would recommend to them, or is that what you'd recommend?
Well,
or what would be entry level and then go up from there?
Your standard monocular PVS 14 style,
14s.
but we can we can give you a white phosphor, we can give you 50-degree field of view optics. So we can give you something, a lot better than what you and I would have been accustomed to for sure without that. And that's probably the entry. And you can do a lot with that, right? You can do a lot of work with that, and it has done a lot of work over the decades. But, with everybody running around like UTVs and side-by-sides, even hunting now as far as getting to and from where they're going, driving on a pair of binos, before light and after light.
There's nothing like it.
It's great. It's fun, but it's also a useful tool, to ingress in and egress out, right? Keep your impact minimal.
Kind of to your point, you were talking about that. We've been recently getting leads coming onto our website where they've said, listen to Chris talk about it on the Battle Line podcast. Got one this week, which
nice.
Yeah,
I'm glad that's the case because
you
guys help us out a lot. We of course want to help you guys out, and
also
it's just a great product.
I'm big on. Hey man, I want people to come home. The gear's awesome, but the gear I want people to either, if they're going hunting, to have a great time and get everything they have. But also, you said you're driving around with UTVs. Is that safe under night vision? If you're not accustomed to it, you're wearing shitty night vision. Hell no. It's not. Doing off-roading in UTV. So when I say I want people to come home, use the best gear so you get home at night, whether it's clearing a room in Chicago or driving out in the Ozarks on a UTV on some where rocks just grow out of the ground here in the Ozarks, out of nowhere. Wear the best thing out there, and then also you don't have a splitting headache when you get home, so you feel like going out and doing it again. So no, I'm bro. I'm sold, and you have people like Phil on there that I've known for years and trust with my life, literally and figuratively both. And so no, just the ethics that you have, and
you almost said the ethnicity.
I almost said the ethnicity, the whiteness there,
the white farmer,
the white farmer with the ethnicity there too. But the ethics that you guys have, and then just the product itself is tremendously. I do want people to check it out. And also, hey, I like money, dude. I guarantee you're going to go spend $10,000 on some SIG that's going to go off in your holster anyway. So why don't you get some night vision?
Every time he says this,
He,
though,
he said it, not me.
and every time he says this, because we have a guy that Paul who works at SIG Academy, and I keep saying that we want him to sponsor the podcast, and if he hears this,
Oh, no.
You're killing me.
Come on, SIG and Black Rifle Coffee and all the Apples and Androids of the gun world are not going to sponsor our podcast.
you don't think Paul Braun would, though? You don't think he has any say over there? He's a cool guy.
Who's that? Who?
Your friend Paul Braun.
Paul's an instructor. No, Paul's an awesome dude. We gotta get Paul back on.
Paul's the man.
But to your point, Chris, they're spending $90,000 on a Ford Raptor pickup truck and using a Chinese made goggle that they bought at Cabela's, right?
It's true. Yeah.
It makes no sense to me at all. And I make jokes of it because I'm an asshole. And Phil, I see Phil laughing. He knows, man. Remember when Tano used to piss people off in the team room because he just wouldn't shut up and was a smart ass. But that's just me. Yeah. But I'm also going to tell you the truth. If a product's good, it's good. And if I use it, hell yeah, I'd use it. And it's the best thing out there by far. And for you guys just improving it all the time, that is important to me because the advantage that we had when Phil and I was working with just the night vision that we had, because the other groups, our enemies, didn't have it. Now that they have the same capabilities, it's companies like yourself that are going to set us apart again, where we have that monumental advantage. That's how we win. I don't want to get in a fair fight. Fuck that. I want to be unfair as hell on my side, so I win that fight and I go home. And we're not there, right? We're not there because of
not any
a
longer.
lot of things, but Afghanistan was hugely a part of that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and just, the other side, their technology is going to catch up and proliferate through their own ranks, right? Like,
sure.
Yeah, so if near peer and proliferation of technology at this point, we do not own the night anymore. I mean, that's, if somebody tells you that, they're lying, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can look at things that are found on the battlefield now. You can look at what's issued to our threats as we know it. Now, I'm not saying it's as good or as widespread, but it's out there to where, even 20 years ago, that dynamic was a different look, right? That wasn't there.
Yeah.
We really did own the night, but the days of battling cavemen in Afghanistan with an AK and some ammo, that's still going to happen in some parts of the world. But if you want to focus on the most dangerous threat, right, the people that have this, we need to start changing our signature and reducing that threat. That's the only way. The military's here to, be lethal and survive, right? You can't do one without the other. Well, we can do that now. The capability is there. A lot of our European counterparts are already leveraging that. So it's there.
And I would be remiss to not talk about other parts of our business. Yes. We're just one small division of Photonis.
That's right.
We've got, we're becoming a smaller version of the L3s of the world, where we're requiring companies to do amazing technologies all the time. In Lancaster, for 50-something years, we've been doing high-voltage power supplies and vacuum tubes that are in AWAC and the old legacy AWAC systems. So we've been in the business of DoD and the military since the early 70s. Right.
That's awesome.
So it really is gratifying to work for a company like that. Like I said, I never served. It's kind of a regret of my life that I never did. But in fact, I tried to go the day after 9/11. I tried to go enlist, and I was a year too old, and they wouldn't take me. But once I got into this, that kind of scratched that itch of being able to serve our country, because I lived in six different countries and 4 different states before I was 18. And
which countries and states? You got to tell us.
Italy, Turkey, Taiwan, and Germany twice.
Wow.
And I lived in some great places in the world. But I tell you what, every time I came back to the U.S., I was glad to be back in the U.S. It didn't matter where I lived.
That's awesome.
I same way. I always felt like
Yep.
even getting off the airport, whether getting off either in Dulles, flying into Dulles or Chicago, usually is where it was. Where I would come back in and you get off, you felt like you're when Disneyland was Disneyland before they had brawls at their teacup rides. You felt like you're getting off at Disneyland.
Yeah.
And when you
Right.
play, you're right. Last thing for me is we talk about the advantage, and I do harp on that because that's so important, having that advantage in combat where you have something and our enemy doesn't. Now that they both, and Phil, you've harped on it, that, and I believe you, brother, that we don't have that advantage anymore. So the next advantage of where we move on, where both groups, we have an even playing field, we both have night vision, is the ability to see their night vision with ours. Is that what I'm hearing from? Is like being able to see that islet, being able to see that ATP or whatever, where you can see that IR for miles, being able to see the signature of the actual tubes on their eyes or a reflection, from afar, like seeing a raccoon at night when you flash it with your lights. Is that where we're going as far as the next advantage, or where now we have X-ray vision? I can see through freaking walls. I mean, I hope one day that is the point. We could do that.
Well, it's mostly light, infrared lights on your weapon or handheld, and aiming lasers. Right, those are the two things that we have to have. A lot of the ordnance we drop, are solely or partially guided, to target by a laser of some kind.
And usually covert.
Covert at that
Yep.
edge, but at the individual troop level, that laser on the gun, I would be there. There's a lot of near peer militaries that can see that laser as soon as you turn it on. Right, lasers work two ways.
Yep.
They can give you away, but you can, and the day where you could show up somewhere and just zap people with a laser and they don't know where it came from. Those are still there in certain pockets, but that we have lost that advantage in a lot of other pockets, and that's kind of more than near peer and just proliferation and things like that. So that's really kind of what we're getting at with that, is that you're able to be detected when there's no reason for you to be detected.
And
or at least reduce that significantly, right?
And with the current iterations that the other guys have, they've got a built-in illuminator on their goggle. They flip it on. They're just lit themselves up like a
lit
Christmas
their face
tree,
up,
right?
yeah.
And with our next version, we're hopeful that we're going to have a covert on there that will give some level of illumination. It may not be, because it diffuses. When it diffuses, that you lose energy, right? So it may not be that far, but good enough to read and good enough to get spotting, 8-10 feet in front of you. Still, they're going to want to have something on their helmet or something on their gun that probably doesn't completely eliminate that need, but when they flip it on,
there's a lot.
The other guys won't be able to see it.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting tech out there.
Yeah,
we've got a company we're working close with. I won't give the name just yet, but they got some good stuff. They've raised a lot of eyebrows at the right places as well, and you can only see at that wavelength. We're the only goggle you can use to take advantage of that. So
if they buy it, they got to buy ours with it in partnership with it.
Yeah.
So
It's funny how that works.
Anything else you think? Because I think we covered this pretty thoroughly. Talked some Vegas stuff.
What about your own IR lasers?
You can still see standard with ours.
No, but are you ever going to think about making Photonis getting into that?
I was actually gonna pitch that to you if you want to fund that R&D effort.
I would love to fund that R&D effort if I get. We'd have to talk about the return though.
Oh man, we'll give you a full %.
$1 a month.
It's so worth it. Yeah, $1 a month and a pair of Vipers. Thanks.
Deal. I think that was a verbal contract right here. I'm pretty
said it on the podcast. Yeah. So, PhotonisDefense.com is always, guys, at Photonis Defense on Instagram. You can follow Phil on Instagram, although you don't use it that much, but on Instagram at NOC
It's
Works.
I'm a little covert, a little under the radar.
But I'm giving it away. Is that okay?
I guess.
It's
At-
not- I'll
at
say it,
NOC
dude.
Works.
You're on Instagram, dude. Knock
Yeah.
works. Just go to knock. Even his name is covert.
Exactly.
Which
And
is
are you
so-
on?
which is
Are you on
kind of
any social
ironic.
media? Sean?
I have
A
an
little
account that
covert.
and we're getting better at it, and I'm going to start using it. I have an Instagram account called Night Eyes Guru.
Okay.
But
Night Eyes Guru.
yeah,
Okay.
and that'll get more active here because we're in the middle of redoing our social media. We hired a social media content creator that's going to start here in the next month. And so you're going to see our presence really lifted up over the next couple of months.
That's excellent. We'll have some cool stuff that we'll invite you as a collaborator on here
Yeah,
so
cool.
that people can see it on the Photonis page and on our page.
Yeah.
I like that feature that they have now. But yeah, that's really about it. I know I'm going to be at SHOT Show this coming year. I think Chris likely, right? You're like, well, here's
Come on, Chris, I got to take you to the Rack Pack places.
yeah. Here's the tentative plan in my
We're
my
about
view.
right here. We're like right here. I'm
Okay.
not here. I'm not like last year.
Yeah.
I'm about right
there.
here.
Okay.
We're there.
Well, I'll tell you my tentative plan, which I haven't even really said fully to Chris. We spoke a little bit about it, but
Yeah.
I think either a show on the floor or in a studio in
I'd love
Vegas
that.
with us and with Dale Sizemore, because I know
Yeah.
he'll be there
Yeah.
talking this same type of thing.
Yep.
And then I want to do, hopefully Chris will be there. I want to do a show with Corey Taylor because Corey Taylor lives in Vegas. And as you remember when Corey Taylor from Slipknot was on, he said, I promise you I will do this again. So what cooler way would it be than to do it in studio? And I've checked. He's not going to be on the road. So if we could do Corey Taylor in studio, I'm looking to book 2 studio dates while we're in Vegas and keep this thing going. And I love doing the in-studio stuff. So I hope Chris will be there. But yeah, that's really it for us, guys. As always, we'll have a new show up on Tuesday. Every Tuesday, we got new shows, new guests. Follow us, as always, Battleline Podcast on Instagram, at Battleline Pod on X. And I really appreciate you guys coming in. I hope it was
Thank you
worth
for
the
having
trip.
us. Absolutely was. Thank you. We'll do it again.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's good timing, and thank you, Chris.
Chris,
You know.
thanks.
Yeah, I know. It feels. Yeah, it was. It's okay.
It was good.
It's good. No, thanks, guys. And I'm trying. Phil, I'll see you in December anyway, bro.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll be out there, and we'll see you at SHOT Show.
That's all for this episode of Battleline Podcast. But we're always posting new content on social media. Follow us on Instagram at Battleline Podcast and on Twitter at Battleline Pod. That's an order. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any new episodes up every Tuesday. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or your podcast platform of choice. Believe in yourself. Face all challenges head on. And as always, never quit.